Hello and welcome to New Wave Global. You have just tuned in Unraveled with Marvi Sirmed. Tonight we set aside the fog of war and partisan noise to examine a story that has been dominating Indian media and headlines in Pakistan as well, but raising tough questions elsewhere. What's that? Operation Mahadev. So let's start with the holy five W's of journalism: who, what, when, where, and why. On 28th July, yesterday, we are recording this on the 29th of July, uh, Indian security forces launched a major counter-terrorism operation in Harwan Lidwas area, adjacent to Dachigam National Park near Srinagar, in India-administered Jammu and Kashmir. The code name Operation Mahadev. It followed weeks of reportedly surveillance and technical intelligence, including an encrypted communication device linked to the suspects of Pahalgam attack. Now, we have been hearing about this kind of device uh, ever since the Pahalgam attack. But it took more than 2 months, 3 months actually, for Indian security forces to do this operation and finally neutralize the three terrorists. This has been official reports, as reported by the Indian media, that three terrorists who have been identified as foreign nationalists from Pakistan and allegedly linked to Lashkar-e-Taiba and TRF, the resistance force, they were neutralized in the gunfight. Among the dead was one named Suleiman Shah, whose alias is being reported as Hashim Musa. And he is described as the mastermind behind the 22nd April Pahalgam massacre, in which we know that 26 civilians, almost all of them Hindus, save one Muslim pony rider, pony boy, were killed. What Indian media has reported so far is, for example, according to Times of India and the Economic Times, they have described the Operation Mahadev as a revenge for Pahalgam. With the mastermind Suleiman being a former Pakistani Special Forces commando, allegedly trained at a LET hub, killed after a surveillance-driven mission by the Indian security forces. There are Navbharat Times and some other Hindi language outlets. They have also emphasized this narrative, lauding the swift action and branding the deceased as Pakistani terrorists. There has been no further details on what makes them, how they were, because there has not been any forensic examination. There has not been any post-mortem. What makes them, how did they decide that they were Pakistanis? The information about that has not been reported so far. The families of the victims of Pahalgam terrorist attack, including relatives of some of the relatives of those killed in Pahalgam, they have publicly expressed relief and gratitude to India's security forces, framing this as this operation as only a first step towards justice. Now, this is the same sentiment that some of the family members, some of the survivors of Pahalgam terrorist attack had also expressed when Pakistan was attacked in May 2025. Now, there are some considerations about credibility of the information coming through Indian media and independent verification of that information. Major independent international outlets such as Reuters, Al Jazeera, they have not yet directly corroborated the identities or nationalities of the three individuals reportedly have been killed by the Indian security forces. Their reporting largely relies on the official Indian statements and media accounts. No publicly released forensic evidence has been shared. Maybe DNA confirmation or access for third-party observers. None of that has happened. None of that has been made available, and Indian media is also not asking these questions. Indian media is not known for asking critical questions anyway. But Indian sources themselves note that conclusive links to the Pahalgam attack await post-mortem identification and forensic verification. Means none of this is available. So the links to Pahalgam are also yet to be verified, but Indian officials anyway are claiming, or the Indian media has jumped to the claims that they were indeed from Pakistan. Now, Pakistani authorities, on the other hand, along with some international actors like Turkey, China, Malaysia, even Switzerland and Greece, they had earlier called for neutral, independent investigations into the Pahalgam massacre, but these were firmly rejected by India, including via Indian Supreme Court decisions dismissing PILs seeking judicial-led inquiry into the Pahalgam attack. Now, there are some allegations from the Pakistani side. Pakistani government sources and state-linked analysts have alleged that this may be yet another example of fake encounters. I mean, this is a tactic quite prevalent in India and Pakistan both, almost throughout the South Asian region, in the subcontinent especially, which is allegedly used to deflect from failures, such as this operation with Indians call Operation Sindoor, but it was essentially an attack on India's attack on its sovereign neighbor, or the lapses like security lapses like in Pahalgam. So deflections like this are quite common, and the fake encounters are quite common in the subcontinent. Now, the Pakistani sources, Pakistani state-linked media persons and analysts, they claim that Indian authorities sometimes stage encounters using detained individuals and then present them as cross-border terrorists. Now, the similar claims also are made by the human rights activists in Pakistan about the security force, the Pakistani security forces, and it is alleged that enforced disappearances in Pakistan are allegedly perpetrated by the security forces and the intelligence agencies in Pakistan, and some of the times the when someone dies during, as a result of torture in custody, the dead bodies emerge in the wake of one operation or the other, and it is alleged that they are the bodies of the terrorists which who died during while fighting the security officials. So this has been a common practice, a very familiar motif that keeps appearing sometime in Indian administered Kashmir, sometimes in Balochistan, elsewhere in Pakistan, especially in the tribal regions in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. Very recently, and we will cover this in next couple of episodes, what happened in Tira Valley in Pakistan is a very, very unfortunate incident, and security officials have different narrative, and the civilians who came out in a pro-protest demonstration, who were attacked violently allegedly by the security officials, they have a different narrative, which are both of them are on 180-degree from each other. So these allegations of using fake encounters and using dead bodies who die as a result of the human rights excesses and violations of human rights by the security forces, they then are presented as the bodies of the terrorists who were the security forces claim that they were neutralized during operation. Now, I'm not saying that this is what has happened in India, but this has been alleged both for Indian security forces and Pakistani security forces. And in Pakistan, Pakistani media, right now, this is the predominant narrative. These allegations also reference a wider record of disputed encounter operations, especially in India-occupied Kashmir, and in parts of Pakistan as well. With rights groups in both the countries, they keep citing hundreds of alleged fake and extrajudicial encounters in past. We have seen. I'm not saying that it's happening now, but in past, these have happened as I described earlier. Now there is a political context to it, to the Operation Mahadev. Operation Mahadev comes amid heightened criticism from the opposition within India. The Congress, which is a former ruling party and a major opposition party right now in India's parliament, and other opposition parties and the leaders have been demanding evidence of Pakistani involvement in Pahalgam attack and questioning why intelligence failures, security failures preceded the Pahalgam attack and what has been happening to counter that. Also, this particular Operation Mahadev coincides with the start of the monsoon session of India's parliament, where Mr. Modi's government faced intense scrutiny over what it calls Operation Sindoor. We call unwarranted attack on the sovereign neighbor Pakistan. And resultant from this attack was almost diplomatic isolation of India, and its damaged security credibility as well. The appearance of a successful Operation Mahadev may serve as the political convenience and as damage control for Mr. Modi's government. So I organized these points in a table form. Let me pull it up really quick, and I hope our production team will be showing the table to you while I speak. So these are just 4 points I put together. One was the claim that 3 Pakistani nationals were killed in Operation Mahadev, including the mastermind of Pahalgam attack, Suleiman Shah. The sources of this claim are Indian media and Indian officials. Sometimes, many times, the unnamed Indian officials, but Indian media has been making these claims quite incredibly. And the verification status, well, not yet independently verified, not by anyone except the claims. These are just the claims. Not even Indian media has been allowed to witness whatever the claims, directly see the of course, operation cannot be seen by the media, but Indian media has not been taken into confidence and has been, so maybe now they have been taken to the venue, to the location, but so far it's just the Indian security forces claims. And the forensic identification of the killed people, individuals, is still pending. The second point that the second claim that Indian government has made is the link of these individuals to the Pahalgam attack, and calling one of them as the mastermind of Pahalgam attack. Now, this source for this again is Indian security officials and Indian media, and of course, the forensic confirmation is still pending. No one has verified this claim independently, and uh, as Indian media is has been reporting it since last 24 hours, ever since this operation was announced, uh, the conducting the Indian security officials announced that this operation has happened and three individuals have been killed. The evidence reportedly is based on a monitored device, some monitored device signals. Now, we have been, as I said earlier, we have been hearing about these device signals ever since the Pahalgam attack. I think a day after the Pahalgam attack, some of the Indian media, Indian journalists started reporting about the device signals. So, if there were device signals, I mean the terrorists were pretty dumb to have kept using it despite reported being reported in the media, and also the security forces were like, I mean, it took them 3 months, even with the monitor device signals, 3 months to you know, nab the terrorists. Anyway, so on the other hand, there is this fake encounter allegations, the source for which is almost entirely the Pakistani state media, Pakistani media, and security sources, security analysts. These claims are absolutely unverified, and uh, the references have been made, broader references have been made to human rights concerns, which is kind of ridiculous and ironic because the same human rights concerns, when Pakistani human rights activists make, they are, about the Balochistan, about Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and even Sindh, they are dubbed as the anti-state. So it's quite ironic that uh, either of the countries should be making these references. The fourth point that is that I want to sort of highlight is that no independent probing is allowed by India, despite a suggestion by different international organization, international actors, despite the offers made by Pakistan. Uh, there have been PILs in India, but Indian government has unilaterally rejected any neutral investigation offers. Let's come to that was about what has happened and what, why, who, when, uh, whom. Now, if Shakespeare was here, and Shakespeare would say, "What's in the name?" And I would say, "Everything." You know, the codename Operation Mahadev is actually deeply symbolic. It taps into the Hindu mythology. It taps into political messaging and cultural resonance as well. Just like Operation Bunyan-ul Marsus, named by Pakistani government, which was a retaliatory operation in response to India's attack on Pakistan in May 2025. Now, Bunyan-ul Marsus is a Quranic verse, part of a Quranic verse, which means a wall made of steel, which is probably a reference to the strong defense that Muslim army poses to an army which is not Muslim. In a similar way, Operation Mahadev. Let's talk about first Mahadev. What is Mahadev? It's a sacred title for Lord Shiva. Now, Mahadev literally means, it's a compound word, Maha and Dev. Maha is great, Dev is God. So Mahadev literally would mean great God. And it is one of the most venerated titles of Lord Shiva in Hinduism. Now, Shiva is part of the Trimurti, the Holy Trinity, the Holy Trinity. Um, one part of the Trinity is Brahma, the creator. The second is Vishnu, the preserver. And the third is Shiva, the destroyer, the transformer. So as transformer and as destroyer, Lord Shiva symbolizes the end of the evil and the regeneration of righteousness. He's also considered the god of destruction, the god of retribution, of cosmic justice, often depicted with the what you call a trident, the trishul. Is also depicted through by a tiger skin, by the crescent moon, etc. I mean, all this imagery is it frequently invoked during the nationalistic and religious mobilization. When we have very recently seen this in during the Kavod Yatra. A couple of episodes ago, we covered Kavod Yatra in India and how this has become more violent, more aggressive, and the Kavadiyas, the pilgrims, are becoming more and more aggressive against, especially the Muslims. So, about Mahadev, naming the operation as Mahadev. It plays into Hindu nationalist symbolism, directly plays into that. It appeals to a strong segment of Prime Minister Modi's political base, which is the Hindutva base. You must have noticed, we have certainly noticed in recent years, the BJP and its affiliates have increasingly politicized Hindu deities, especially Lord Hanuman, Lord Shiva, Lord Rama. You must recall Ram Temple consecration just before the Lok Sabha elections in 2024, which became a spectacle for showcasing the religious fervor, the religious commitment of Prime Minister Modi just before the elections, with the elections round the corner. Didn't go so well for Mr. Modi because BJP actually lost that seat in Ayodhya where the Ram temple was consecrated. So that very constituency was lost to a Dalit candidate. But coming back to the symbolism here, how the Hindu deities have been increasingly politicized, presenting them as some kind of, as martial and protective figures in the cultural narrative of a strong India. Vishwaguru, Viksit Bharat, strong India. Viksit is developed, but strong India, led by a strong man like Narendra Modi. Also, by invoking Mahadev, the operation gains the emotional weight of divine justice, positioning the state and especially Mr. Modi as an executor of cosmic retribution against evil. In this case, Pakistan, the cross-border terrorism done by Pakistan. But we must not forget that it does have some geographical reference as well. There is a Mahadev Peak in the Zabawan range near Dachigam National Park in Harwan, very close to Srinagar, where the operation has reportedly occurred. Locally revered and culturally significant, this peak, Mahadev Peak, is associated with trekking and pilgrimage. And remember Amarnath Yatra, we also covered that. And it is seen as sacred terrain by some Kashmiris. The use of this name also serves as a dual function, a geographic locator and a religio-nationalist signal. You can't miss the subtext of martial Hinduism. It plays into the broader ideology of Kshatriya Dharma, the warrior ethos in Hindu thought. By invoking Mahadev in a counterterrorism operation, it sacralizes military action, framing the use of force not merely as a state duty, but also as a religiously sanctioned war against evil. Jihad. It subtly suggests that the enemy here, alleged Pakistan-based terrorists, is not just a geopolitical threat, but it's a cosmic adversary, an archetype seen in many Hindu myths. But you know what? We have seen this movie before. When questions grow louder, when criticism intensifies, the state often reaches for distraction narratives, especially when it comes to the strongmen, the populist leaders with fascist, authoritarian, autocratic tendencies. And not just in India, everywhere in the world, we have. I don't need to list down the examples, the specific examples of such leaders, but you know my drift. So, what are these distractions? I mean, a targeted killing, maybe a claimed victory, like, oh, we won the war, Operation Sindoor. uh, Maybe a symbolic gesture to recapture public imagination, like Operation Mahadev. In this case, Operation Mahadev seems tailor made. I mean, for especially for three things. For example, one, reclaiming the control of the Pahalgam narrative. Remember, the Modi government seems to have lost the control of the narrative after it attacked Pakistan. Um, because of the war losses and how it dealt with communicating to its own people about the losses, and what happened with President Trump, who insists that he brokered peace, but Indian leadership, India is quite embarrassed about it. So, and there have been continued embarrassments coming one way or the other to Modi government. So the Modi government was in dire need of reclaiming the control of the narrative. This Operation Mahadev, just puts it in Mr. Modi's lap. The second thing is opposition voices have been growing. So this operation helps a lot in silencing those voices, not just opposition parties' voices, but also the civil society. There have been very honorable examples, even in Indian media. Just a couple of them, but they are there. Not couple, actually more, maybe half a dozen or a dozen, but they are there. And thank God for them. Uh, these media voices in alternate media, especially not the mainstream media, no one in the no I don't see anyone in the mainstream media to have had that kind of courage to ask a critical question or raise or highlight these critical points. But in the alternate media, there are voices, there are civil society voices, and this Operation Mahadev, serves to silence those voices very effectively. And now we'll wait for another media circus, blaming Pakistan and just acting as the second fiddle to the state instead of asking questions. And thirdly, Operation Mahadev actually helps Mr. Modi's government a lot. Mr. Modi actually has been a target of criticism, not just from the opposition parties, but also from a segment of the alt-right Hindutva base as well, especially from RSS, its ideological parent, Rashtriya Swayam Sevak Sangh. So this operation actually reignites the nationalist sentiment with a generous dose of religious theater. But the victims of this pattern, who are the victims of this pattern? truth, accountability, human rights, they remain unacknowledged. And the conflict continues to metastasize. What we have seen tonight is, more than a military operation. I think it's a story of power. It's a story of politics and of perception, the war of perceptions. You know, it may well have uh, taken lives, but without, I mean, it might have actually killed some terrorists. They might be actual terrorists. Who knows? But without transparency, without verification or independent scrutiny, international scrutiny, it risks becoming just another chapter in a very long book of convenient spectacles. We are not here to dismiss the dangers of terrorism. Please, I mean, we are against terrorism and we are for everything that eliminates, decimates terrorism. But as journalists, we are obligated to ask, is justice being served or staged? Are we witnessing facts or theater? I mean, when religious symbols become weapons of the state, whether it is Bunyadul Mursus or it is Operation Mahadev, who protects the, idea of secular democracy is protected by who? India at least had a veneer of secular democracy. Pakistan doesn't have even that. Pakistan's chief of army staff stands up and starts every now and then starts regurgitating the two-nation theory, the hackneyed, flawed two-nation theory, pitching Pakistanis against each other, Pakistani Hindus and Pakistani Muslims, pitching them against each other. That's how that is nationalism, how that is patriotism, fails me. This similarly goes to Mr. Modi and Mr. Modi's politics. Even the veneer of secular democracy has completely been ruptured by Mr. Modi, and he's now pitching his own people against each other, Muslims against Hindus, Christians against Muslims, against lower caste Hindus against upper caste Hindus. Where does this end? It doesn't end well, that's for sure. Anyway, tonight we ask the uncomfortable questions, and I'm not sorry for that. I know for some of our Indian viewers, we really we love you. I love you. I really respect your opinions. And some of these questions might have been uncomfortable for you. For our Pakistani viewers as well, some of the things that I say might be uncomfortable for you as well. I love you too. But you see, I promise you that I am going to continue to do this. Because without questioning power, journalism becomes propaganda, and we can be anything but propagandists. At Unravel, we do not do this. So it's a promise. We'll continue to question. We'll continue to question quite uncomfortably. I'm Marvi Sirmed. This is Unraveled. So stay informed, stay critical, and never settle for easy answers. Have a good one.